This episode of Simple Civics Greenville County is brought to you by Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, providing free books to children 0 to 5 throughout Greenville County. To sign up, visit greenvillefirststeps.org/freebooks. That's greenvillefirststeps.org/freebooks.
When we think about the logistics of feeding students in school, we often think about efficiency and scale, but rarely do we get to talk about farm-to-table freshness in a school cafeteria. In Greenville County, though, that's different. Our school district was recently named one of just 9 recipients in the country of a highly competitive federal grant designed to bridge the gap between local farms and student meal trays. And this isn't just a win for nutrition, it's a win for our local economy. We're in rare company because we're home to Feed and Seed, the only food hub of its kind on the East Coast, which acts as the critical link between South Carolina farmers and our schools. I'm Katie Smith with Greater Good Greenville, and on this episode of Simple Civics Greenville County, we explore this innovative partnership that is already getting tons of produce into our schools, and the students are loving it. Joining me today are the leaders making this happen. Ron Jones is Director of Food and Nutrition Services for Greenville County Schools, the largest district in the state and the 44th largest in the nation, serving approximately 77,000 students and over 12 million meals annually. Heidi Mills is Operations Manager for Feed and Seed. In this conversation, we'll discuss how this grant is transforming cafeteria menus, the logistical magic Feed and Seed performs to move food from the field to the fork, and why this model is keeping Greenville County on the national map for school nutrition.
Hello, listeners. Nathaniel here. This episode was recorded before the January 25th ice storm. So you'll hear one of our guests refer to an event that is scheduled in a Greenville County Schools lunchroom on Thursday, January 29th. There is a chance that it will be postponed. So if you are interested in attending, please call the school in advance to make sure it's still going on. So without further ado, back to the episode.
I am so excited to be able to talk today to Ron Jones and to Heidi Mills about a very exciting program that addresses a lot of opportunities in Greenville County in the upstate of South Carolina. So thanks to both of you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, there was a catalytic moment that led to what you are going to talk about today. And it's something lots of us experienced in Hurricane Helene, but it revealed a really special opportunity. Ron, can you talk about that?
Well, Helene, tragically blew through and upset everything. And the Ingalls Market Distribution Center was underwater. They had purchased 600 pounds of basil from a local hydroponic farmer, Tiger River Smart Farm, and he couldn't deliver. There was no place to bring it. So he reached out to Feed and Seed and asked Feed and Seed, do you know anybody who wants to buy this? And they called us and said, gee, can you use 600 pounds? Because we're a large buyer. We really could, but we didn't have immediate use for it, and we didn't have the resources to process it. So we put together a quick recipe for a nut-free pesto to use in schools. And we called Mary Hip at Feed and Seed and said, hey, can you test this recipe? And they were like, yeah, we'll test it. And it worked. So we bought the basil, processed it, and sold it back to our schools. And we sold it to Pickens County Schools and menued it until it was gone. And now we can't wait to get more in schools.
Amazing. What were some of the recipes that you put it in?
We primarily pasta dishes, 2 separate pasta dishes. It's basically rigatoni and penne. One of the items that the kids really liked, but we didn't menu across the district, we did just basic grilled cheese sandwiches with mozzarella, fresh tomato, and pesto. And they really liked that.
So what is so great about the story is we have a local farmer who we want to support. We want more local agriculture happening. They were in a moment of crisis, having grown this produce that wasn't able to put to work. We've got a school district that's doing innovative, great stuff, wanting to source more local product, but needing it to be kitchen ready. And then we've got Feed and Seed that is there, that does this all the time and was ready to be deployed, but needed the funds to help them do it. I think listeners get it, but why is sourcing local food important?
Let me give you an example. So last year in Greenville County Schools, we had 34 food recalls, and not small ones. 34 of these food recalls were based on physical contaminants that were found in the food supply. And we buy the best quality foods that we can, but what we're seeing is pretty compelling evidence that, the longer the food chain is, the more opportunity there is for contamination. So we're really focusing on shortening that food chain and going as locally as we can. So it makes sense for us to use local farmers. It supports our economy, and to use our local producers. We have a much better grasp of the food chain.
What Ron just described ties exactly into what Feed and Seed was designed to do. So tell us about the role of Feed and Seed and yourself.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'm the operations manager at Feed and Seed. I think the opportunity was really wonderful for us because, one, we have a great partnership with Ron and Greenville County Schools, and we were allowed to truly put forth the operation that we created. And we have some government certifications that allow us to produce food for the institutions and schools. So it was just a really great opportunity for us.
I love it. We have done an episode in the past on Feed and Seed, which is linked in the show notes for folks. But could you elaborate for those who haven't heard it yet about the kinds of things you do at Feed and Seed?
Yes, Feed and Seed is a nonprofit food hub. We really try to bridge the gap and support local agriculture and bring it into the school system and into the South Carolina community.
Wonderful. So you had this prelude in the wonderful endeavor that happened, the serendipitous thing that came out of the many tragedies of Helene, of Pesto in schools. There was a governmental funding opportunity that made you go, we could do more of this. So Ron, could you talk about the SCALES grant?
Sure. Just after Helene, the USDA released a Cohort 2 offering for the USDA SCALES grant. USDA SCALES grant is a part of the USDA Healthy Meals Initiative. The Healthy Meals Initiative focuses on creating healthy food products for schools and connecting schools to farmers. So when we saw that, we're like, this is perfect. So we set off to put together a team and see if we couldn't bring the SCALES grant to South Carolina, and we brought it home.
Not surprisingly, because you all were teed up for success. So can you elaborate on what the SCALES grant will allow you to do now that you've received it and what it consists of?
Sure. It would probably make sense to start with, one of the things that we had to do was put together a team. And so we could have up to 5 team members, and to have success on such a large level, we need a large team. And so we went right back to Feed and Seed to say, hey, we can do this together. We approached the South Carolina Department of Agriculture about being our fiscal agent because they're the ones who are going to pass the money through and to pay the bills and to pay Feed and Seed. And we needed somebody who's adept at that, and they do a lot of sub-granting across the state, so it was a perfect fit. We have Sin Brothers Produce out of Columbia. They have a state contract delivering Department of Defense produce to schools across the state, so they're already delivering to schools. So they came on as our delivery partner. They will deliver the product from Feed and Seed out to the schools across South Carolina. We also partnered with the Palmetto Purchasing Group, which is a consortium that purchases for a group of 24 school districts.
Outstanding. So this is really leveraging up some great infrastructure and partnerships that we already had. And Pesto is one very visible example people can imagine. But Heidi, share some of the other produce that you all are working with and maybe some numbers to let people get their heads around this.
Absolutely. We have some wonderful farmers that we've been working with and partnering with. As of right now, we are making a sweet potato mash for the schools, and we have processed up to 5 tons already. We roast them in-house and get them all nice in the recipe per Greenville County Schools and get it frozen so that they can take it and get it delivered. And then the team doesn't have to do as much in the schools, and it's already a ready-to-eat product. We're also doing Collards, and we have about 27,000 pounds of that we've already processed, and 600 pounds of prepared nut-free pesto already. And then some of the farmers that we're working with is Tiger River and Simply and Bradford Family Farm, which is great. And so it's farmers from the upstate, the Midlands, and Low Country.
How exciting. So listeners, I'm sure, are getting that we're preparing healthier, well-sourced food for our kids. We're making it easier and less expensive, I presume, for Greenville County Schools because you have so many mouths to feed every day. We're supporting our local farm economy. What I think is also interesting is agriculture is so much a part of our state's history and a part of our state's culture. And it's really celebrating that. And you all have another initiative underway to highlight an important agricultural product from our state and really lift it up in schools. Ron, can you tell us about it?
Sure. You get the message here that we like to use grant funds. So the South Carolina Department of Agriculture offered a grant called the Certified South Carolina Cafeteria. They awarded us $60,000. and we're choosing to spend that money to focus on Carolina Gold rice in schools because of the historical significance of Carolina Gold rice and what it meant to South Carolina and the nation, how it went away and the efforts to bring it back. And we'll be exclusively offering Carolina Gold rice on the menus on January the 29th at J.O. Mann High School. They'll be teaching across the American history curriculum a whole unit on the importance of Carolina Gold rice to South Carolina historically. In the cafeteria that day, we're going to be making chicken bog, a classic South Carolina dish with Carolina Gold rice. Commissioner Hugh Weathers from the Department of Agriculture will be with us for the day. And Marsh Hen Mill, who's reestablishing Carolina Gold rice across the South, will be on hand to share in the classrooms and in the cafeteria.
That is so great. We heard from Heidi in just a quarter how much food has moved from farms to schools. What's projected over the course of this 3-year grant, right, Ron?
Yes, it's 3 years, and the deliverables to USDA, we have forecasted about 80,000 pounds of sweet potatoes, 80,000 pounds of collard greens, 40,000 pounds of blueberries, 40,000 pounds of strawberries, and we've already talked about the basil. So it's a lot of product, and it's a lot of support for local farmers.
Ron, I know you must be extremely delighted by this because you and I have known each other a long time, working hard on school food for more than 15 years probably. Ron, listeners, you should know that Ron was a chef at A.J. Wittenberg Elementary, which was the first pilot of offering scratch-made, locally sourced food in a school with some vegetarian offerings. And there were a lot of people who didn't believe any of that would be eaten by kids or possible, economically, financially possible. And Ron and lots of colleagues have proven them wrong. I'm wondering, maybe reflect for folks who don't know that story about how it started and what your thoughts are now looking at how far you and the district has come.
Sure. Well, thanks to your support and community support, we recognized back then, say 15 years ago, that we really needed to increase the quality of what we were serving in schools because it's so important to children's health and how they perform in the classroom. So we looked at what do we really need to do, and we identified training as an initiative. So with the help of folks like you and people in the community, we did some grant writing, and we ended up training 750 employees over at Greenville Tech, brought them in the kitchens and taught them hands-on skills. We not only talked about hands-on skills, we talked about other types of learning. We wanted to change their hearts and minds. So we taught them about nutrition. We taught them about safe food and changed the food culture in Greenville County Schools. And subsequently, Greenville County Schools has become a nation's leader in school nutrition, and districts around the nation come from around the country to see what we're doing and to learn how we're feeding kids in Greenville. So it's been a wonderful ride, and we're going to keep pushing.
Ron, it's just been amazing to watch the journey since you got started. And you mentioned community partners and champions. I was delighted to be a partner. Another huge partner along the way has been Mary Hipp, who is founder and executive director of Feed and Seed, who you've heard mentioned already. And I think Mary really saw that to make this local food available to schools, there was some important community infrastructure. And we're lucky to have something that is singular on the East Coast in Feed and Seed. So Heidi, can you talk in more detail about the role that Feed and Seed plays in making all of that possible?
I think what's really important is what we offer at Feed and Seed and the facets that we can give to anybody in the community, whether it's institutions or just, a person. We offer a wash and pack room so farmers can come in, they can get their produce cleaned and washed properly by government certifications to go out to the markets or to go into the institutions. We've got a processing facility where farmers can bring in their produce, just like our sweet potatoes. We can dice them, we can chop them, we can grate them. There's so many different things that we can do with that. And then it can also go out to be sold in some market or, again, an institution. We offer a cold room. We offer cooler space, freezer space, a dry storage space that is rented. We have a commissary kitchen for anybody that would like to try recipes or anything like that, really. It's just a great one-stop shop. That's what we try to offer.
I hope all of you are listening and thinking, this makes so much sense. This is exactly the kind of thing I want to see happening. But it takes money to do that, especially if it's a new initiative to try out. And Ron, you said you all really thrive on grants. Talk about the role that these particular grants and grants in general play in helping our school food be the best it can be.
Grants are wonderful. And, the money is nice, but more importantly, it's evidence that there are people in our community and in our government that trust us to get a job done and say, yes, this is a good idea, good thinking, good planning, and we're going to support that. So it's good to have that backing. And then it's very important that we use that money frugally and we deliver the deliverables that we promised in the grant process. And these deliverables in the SCALES grant are very, very large. As I said, we're talking 80,000 pounds of sweet potatoes, and that's a nice dent in the market. The affirmation provided by the grant was wonderful, and the funds are wonderful. We do take seriously how we handle those funds. And it's really important for us to establish these relationships with other grantees across the nation. The SCALES grant has got in cohort 2, people in California, Virginia, Vermont, Ohio. We've got U.S. Virgin Islands, Washington, and Montana. For the SCALES grant cohort 2, there were 135 applications and 9 of us were granted funds. These products will hit the menu in February and continue on the menu for the next menu cycle. They will be in other school districts with the Palmetto Group in the next calendar year, and then in the third calendar year up to 300 schools. So, join us in public schools and enjoy some local produce.
Well, I am always grateful to Greenville County Schools for its innovation and for taking student health and its contribution to our local economy seriously. And I'm always so impressed by Feed and Seed for the innovative and passionate way you all go about your work every day, and delighted to share this wonderful success with our listeners. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Simple Civics Greenville County listeners, Nathaniel here. If you've made it this far, then we think you'll really love our newsletter. Sign up for bonus content, updates, and more right in your inbox. Look for the link in the description that says newsletter to sign up, or visit us at simpleCivicsGreenvilleCounty.org. Find the link in the menu that says newsletter and sign up there. We'll see you again next week.